Okay, it is December 11th, 2020. It's currently 12:53. I am going to go back about 5 minutes. We're going to go through an episode of federal group stalking and monitoring and what the state is engaged in. And so as I exit the premises of the Ontario Ovitt Family Library, where the state is engaged in ongoing stalking via aircraft. As I am at that location, Ontario police are already in position, in relevant position on, this is B Street, B as in boy. Okay, and they're creating light activity right here at North Robin Privado. And this is right by Ontario Town Square. Okay, so this is called positioning while they are creating light activity as Ontario police cross paths while I am standing at the entrance. Okay, I'm placing posts on Facebook, sharing them on my Facebook page as well. So they're monitoring this, and Ontario police engage in crossing path at the same time that Ontario police are at this location on B Street in relevant position to where I am at Ontario Library. Understand that. So this is surrounding. This is called teamwork. They're monitoring with communication devices. And so I documented Ontario Police vehicle, license plate 1503460. This is Ontario Police crossing path. Again, the state directing its fake sunlight onto my location directly over me in front of the library, monitoring what I'm doing online. Ontario Police, again, license plate 1503460, crosses path, driving right in front of me as I walk to a trash can to empty some trash. Security guard monitoring, patrons crossing path on the sidewalk, driving. Crossing path. This is all manner of patrolling while the state is stalking via aircraft and stalking by police. This police officer is engaged in stalking. They are in the path. They're intentionally creating light activity in the middle of the street at B Street, creating light, and the state engaging in amplified sounds of planes. This is audible activity while I am at the library, mind you. So as I cross the street, ongoing documentation at 200 North Euclid Avenue. They are engaged in what is outwardly appearing as construction. Okay, this is P.O.C. You got a group stalker just standing right next to me in a car while the state is amplifying the sound of a plane. They're monitoring. Okay, while this is also a demon. Understand, listening to every word that I'm saying. Windows are rolled up. They are loitering because they know I'm documenting. This is what I mean by demonic activity. Okay, there is no traffic stopping their driving forward. They're loitering because they try to distract me from documentation. I'm going to document that. That's 8GUH448. That's P.O.C. So as I am at Ontario Library, the state is engaged in surrounding my path as they know I am leaving the library. Okay, everything I do is monitored. So they know when I go in for the appointment for 1 hour. They know when the Ontario Library tells me that I have to leave. They're all monitoring together. Understand this. So the police are in position, in relevant position, creating light activity. Okay, this is relevant for monitoring with communication devices. Group stalkers surround. They literally crawl around like cockroaches in the parking lot, sitting in their cars, creeping past, sitting still in their cars in the middle of the street if they think I'm not paying attention, and then they start driving. They're literally stalkers. My legal theory is based on the vicarious conduct on behalf of the state, but what I am saying is not only is it the legal theory that you are acting on behalf of the state, they literally engage in stalking, creepy conduct. Okay, they're stalkers. And this is what they're doing while I'm using my phone outside of the library. Ontario Police 1503460, crossing path. This is intentional criminal cooperation while Ontario Police is in the middle of B Street in relevant position. Okay, this is alignment to where I am on the opposite side of this building over here at the library. And this is the same pattern. Okay, so as I walk toward, I'm walking south on Euclid Avenue. You've got construction. This is outwardly what it appears, that they engage in stalking with activity, literally. As I arrive, as I pass, as I sit at Town Square, they engage in that demonic conduct of stalking with activity. Any new movement, any minor gesture that is not audible to the human ear, they engage in creating loud activity, and it outwardly appears as they're engaging in construction work, okay? It is monitoring conduct. Monitoring coexists with it, okay? And so this is while I'm passing that, and I am at B Street and Euclid. While sitting at that crosswalk, you have the third-party group stalker sitting inside of a Penske truck. Penske, P-E-N-S-K-E, Penske. This is a group stalker in relevant position, sitting in their car, communication device in operation while they're sitting at the light. Again, the state controls the lights, and directly in alignment to where they're sitting, the state is in the middle of B Street creating light activity using the police vehicle, okay? This is P.O.C. While I cross the street, the state is anticipating where I am going. Understand this. This is group stalking and monitoring. And while Ontario police are at this end, this third-party group stalker at the light, I am walking directly past. So this is crossing path in reverse. This is what they do when they sit in their cars and I'm walking anywhere. They line the path. This is what I'm speaking of. It is the same exact conduct, understand, when they're sitting at a traffic light. Everything is engaging in that same conduct. Okay? You're talking about engaging in the same stalking conduct while outwardly appearing as though you are doing something else. You're doing the exact same criminal monitoring. And I am just being thorough and so that you understand what demonic activity is and what criminal monitoring, the nature of that crime, appears as, okay? And what it is intentionally designed to appear as. And its outward form is absolutely irrelevant to the criminal elements of monitoring, okay? Because that's what they are engaged in, the criminal elements of monitoring, which also happen to be demonic. License plate 7, Nancy Henry Thomas, 882, P.O.C. And in addition to that, so while I'm crossing the street at B Street, this Penske group stalker is sitting at the light. The state is directing its impossible light activity, this fake sun, directly over. And even in the past few days, I have shown it is absolutely impossible for this fake sun to be directly over me at all the places that it has, while I could travel backwards for the sun. That would be backwards for it to be going east, staying directly above me when I've captured it directly over me at the Ontario Library, directly over me at Emporia, over the railroad tracks, while the state also engaging in the same documented criminal conduct of stalking by a plane. This is a demon intentionally creating loud activity. Understand this. This is all intentional. Not only are they monitoring, it's just a means of documentation. Understand this is how demons engage in monitoring conduct. They are hostile to what I'm documenting. POC. 24W0279. That's a motorcycle with a small license plate. It's a group stalker just like every other one. And a paper plate. They use paper license plates. This is hilarious. That's criminal obstruction. Again, missing the whole entire big picture. I document third-party group stalkers in order for the public to understand, those that are genuinely ignorant as to the criminal system that is satanic of monitoring. Back to what I was saying. Those are literally demons that are engaging in monitoring, but also are listening to every word and are trying to distract from documentation. Understand what that is, okay? Understand what that is. That is a pattern. They are vicariously acting on behalf of the state. That is a pattern every time I engage in documentation. So anyway, this Penske third-party group stalker sitting at the red light, understand, it is the same exact monitoring conduct. And while he happens to be sitting at the light that stays red, all right, this is convenient while the state is feet away, creating an abundance of light activity through the police vehicle that's in the middle of B Street. It's in alignment, okay? You've got a group stalker with her dog standing in the middle of the sidewalk. She's in alignment with me. Operation of communication device. She's monitoring, okay? This is called group stalking and monitoring with communication devices. Outwardly appearing as though they are focused on something else when all of the criminal elements of monitoring are present, including that which prefaces all group stalking conduct by third parties is the stalking conduct of the state. That is police. Stalking by airplane, again, as I walk down the street to go and do what they anticipate, which is documented. Not only do Ontario police drive off at the same time that an airplane is amplified in sound directly over my head while I'm walking, which is east on B Street, B as in boy, okay? That is also monitoring. The police, as they drive away, engage in, they're still in relevant position. The state is creating audible activity as they are traveling away, and then they turn left onto Cherry. That's Cherry and B Street. This is the Ontario Civic Center. And that's P.O.C. I just want to be clear on that. And that's from leaving the library and crossing the street at B Street and then walking down to document the Ontario police vehicle, which drove away before I could get that license plate. But understand, that's the state present directly. Every license plate that I read is engaged in vicarious presence on behalf of that state. They are stalkers. They are present on behalf. They are facilitating the state engaging in stalking. And by virtue of that presence, they are present on behalf of the state. Understand that that is stalking. And the state cannot monitor you without their presence, okay? And so there is no legal forum. They are outwardly hostile and openly engaging in stalking and creating activity, knowing that I have documented everything. There is nothing to be concealed or hidden from exposure anymore. They're literally engaging in criminal conduct openly. There is no argument, there is no form, there is no way out of it, not only based on the case that's already established, but the criminal conduct that the state has engaged in directly: kidnapping, criminal defamation. License plate 1576887, that is Crossing Path by Ontario Police. Again, it's not a coincidence, the timing when they do this. It's just like the loud motorcycle right next to me. This is the same demonic influence over all of them at the same time. They are hostile to documentation. Okay, understand that's also criminal monitoring. All right, so that's what is occurring while Ontario police are crossing path at Ontario Library, while Ontario is creating light activity in the middle of the street. This is North Robin Privado at Ontario Town Square, where the Ontario police vehicle was in the middle of the street, and then they drive off. The Ontario police vehicle driving onto Cherry from B Street, crossing path in order for, and I'm not able to get their license plate at the same time that the state is hovering over amplified audible activity as police are driving off. So that is P.O.C. Group Stalker, license plate 8AOW031 7RUF 909 BEEEBZZ. These are third parties in relevant position. There are third parties that are patrolling on foot again, and they're meaning sitting on the bench, walking a dog in concrete. They're all in relevant position. This is just to show how the state is engaging in group stalking and monitoring. The license plate of that Penske truck, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, acting in concert with Ontario police, who are creating light activity in alignment as I'm crossing the street. Understand, this is exactly what they were engaged in on December 9th when I documented the Ontario police, the ambulance, and the fire truck in front of what are abandoned buildings with a group of third parties all just standing around literally having a criminal monitoring party, okay? And moments before that, on my podcast, what I was recording, the ongoing stalking with activity conduct, repeatedly sounding their sirens, okay? At the same time that I'm engaging in movement and operation of my communication device, okay? That which is not audible to the human ear, that is a demonic feature. This is the state directly engaging in what is demonic activity while they are criminally monitoring. In alignment to me, okay, I'm sitting inside of the plaza. They're on Euclid Avenue in alignment, creating this abundance of light activity while they are doing absolutely nothing. In which, again, this is the pattern. This is what Ontario police are doing here. Outwardly appearing as they are doing whatever. It is absolutely irrelevant. They are engaged in the ongoing pattern of stalking, creating light activity, acting with third-party group stalkers who surround in close presence, who are monitoring with them. Okay, so they are providing complementary activity for that criminal purpose while the state is literally amplifying plane engines over my head while I walk down the street. Okay, while I'm standing at the corner of B Street and Euclid and at 200 North Euclid, they've got this construction going. This is ongoing activity while a plane is flying over my head at that corner. Okay, this is P.O.C. The Penske license plate 91927 J as in Jack 2. Okay, they are at the stoplight and they drive forward onto that's B Street. So they drive forward toward the opposite side of Euclid. That's P.O.C. And you have the license plate that I wrote down sitting in the that is a Mercedes-Benz. They're just sitting in their car. They've been sitting in their car. They were present while Ontario police were there. The headlights are on. Understand this is light activity while they are, just sitting in the car. This is the ongoing stalking conduct by third-party group stalkers. This is a pattern everywhere I go, and this is what I mean by the identical behavioral patterns. Group stalkers sitting in their vehicles, literally just remaining in their cars, starting or turning off their engines at the time that I am in relevant position to them, like in the path. That's creating audible activity, aiming their headlights onto me, which is light activity. This is stalking conduct while the state is continuously stalking by plane, helicopter, okay? This is P.O.C. This group stalker was present, acting with the state that was directly across the street from them, using their police lights, and this is the license plate that I wrote down. They're creating light activity. They're in relevant position while I was up acting with Penske. Again, you're talking about communication devices. All right. This is how they're monitoring and remaining. This has been a 14-minute podcast thus far. 12:53 is when I came down here, and they are still sitting in their car. It's 880W031. That's P.O.C. And again, the state can leave, and criminal monitoring is ongoing. You're not seeing police officers that are driving past and that are perpetually present. They are stalking, and that's the P.O.C. But they necessarily act with these third-party group stalkers, okay? Now, that's an example of blatant stalking conduct. just sitting in their cars. As I walk anywhere, they sit in their cars and they wait for me to pass in order to start or turn off their ignition, which is activity. That's literal stalking conduct, creating activity at the time that I am in close presence while they are monitoring with communication devices. And this one in particular, I wrote it down because this one remained while Ontario police drove away. And this is B Street, North Robin Privado at Ontario Town Square Apartments on B Street, across the street from the Civic Center. And again, as I am documenting, this is just ongoing. The P.O.C. doesn't stop. So you're literally talking about, this is the psychopath, right? You're literally talking about psychopaths and the one in the Mercedes-Benz also. And I understand this. I already know this based on the pattern of conduct that I have been documenting for a long time. All of them are listening at the same time to everything that I'm saying while she's walking her dog, while he's sitting on the bench, okay, while they're repeatedly crossing paths. And mind you, while I turned my cell phone on, this is when they started this heavy traffic in and out of the Ontario Town Square driveway. This is when they started doing that. Okay, there was not traffic before I stopped here and turned on my cell phone. This is group stalking. All right, that is stalking intentionally and getting in the path while they are aware of your any movement, and especially operation of communication device. That is psychopathic conduct. And the psychopathic conduct is also in the fact that they are listening to every word uttered about their criminal activity, and they just outwardly conduct themselves as though they are in no way listening, and everything about their conduct demonstrates otherwise, in addition to the ongoing pattern of conduct by the state, which prefaces everything that they are doing. It is an abject fail. And this is why I'm showing it is not just criminal. You are talking about a satanic influence at the same time over an expansive group of people who are psychopaths. Okay. And that includes the police. They are abiding by the identical behavioral pattern. That's P.O.C. And that is another plane again, amplified over Ontario Town Square, making a sharp turn directly over the plane while this third party is turning the corner. This is Town Square Apartments. East Bluebird Privado and North Robin Privado is what I'm looking at while they're crossing paths at the same time creating light activity with a paper plate. Benjamin Henry 25D25. These white paper plates looks like literally like construction paper with black ink on it. I understand that to be a means of criminal obstruction, trying to conceal their identity. Irrespective of that, you have the same identical pattern. The state is already prosecuted. I am showing how group stalkers, that is the people of the state, act with that entity. Okay, the groups, third-party group stalkers, these are demons, absolute strangers that are engaging in the identical behavioral pattern. This is how you understand what is demonic activity. You have a satanic influence operating over an expansive group of people together at the same time. This is why you have the identical behavioral pattern. Okay, it is one entity operating over a vast amount of people. In addition to that, the legal theory is the state of California is the public entity that is stalking an American citizen, and every single last one of them are present on behalf of that stalking entity. They are not present as an individual. They are not present or speaking or acting as an individual. They are facilitating an incredibly and unprecedented manner of threatening criminal conduct, of targeting an American citizen, monitoring an American citizen, and there is no shelter from that prosecution, that federal prosecution. It also happens to be that which is demonic and that of a psychopath. And so it is not only federal prison, it is straitjackets. That is necessary. It is absolutely abnormal, and it is what would be prescribed to any other individual engaged in the same exact conduct. It's not different because it happens to be a government, and it is not different because the government fails at trying to hide behind a group of people that are engaged in it together. Okay, that's federal group stalking and monitoring. That's P.O.C. It's 1:12 p.m. and that is another plane again seconds later. Understand that this is the state monitoring. P.O.C. All right, P.O.C. It's 2:04 p.m. I have left the Ontario Library, as I've already documented, and I am now walking on Bonneview toward what is Mercy House, as I was told earlier today. I want to note we've got another plane. Again, note the same time that I begin documentation. That's that demonic conduct that the third-party group stalkers engage in. This is a Southwest Airlines plane flying directly over my head while I am on Bonneview. And what you want to note about that, this is the stalking by the state by plane. Notice while I'm at Ontario Town Square Apartments, they're flying over those apartments while I'm documenting Ontario police with third parties. When I walk on Hope Boulevard, they're flying over Hope Boulevard, right? We saw that also at Stater Brothers. They're hovering in front, FedEx, UPS, Southwest Airlines hovering in front of, over Hope Boulevard, over the parking lot while I'm standing there. While I am on Bonneview, I am walking south on Bonneview. I am literally at Fleet RV and Boat Storage. We're a group stalker. 41290 Charlie 1 is stopping in relevant position in the state's fake sun. 1554789 crossing path, audible activity, Ontario, City of Ontario trash dumpster. 3968772. 8 Boy Zebra Charlie 410 USPS 7531640. All of them group stalking with the state. I took a picture of the fake sun that is directly over this building where I'm standing. It's called Draco, DRACO. This is 716 Bonview in Ontario. And so as I'm walking, the planes are flying directly over my head as I am walking on Bonview. This is not Holt anymore, okay? So like I've already established, I'm just showing there is no deviation from the pattern of conduct. It is blatant stalking by the state. Where I go, the planes hover. The plane flies directly over my head, and we have another third-party group stalker engaging in what is it is in violation of federal law, but it is criminal facilitation. The use of Alaska Airlines. That was a white plane, Alaska Airlines, flying directly over my head where I stand here at 716 Bonview. Draco flies directly over my head, and at the same time, as you heard it, as I start documentation, the state is listening to me, knows I've turned on my cell phone, and comes out of the blue, audibly, right? So you audibly hear out of the blue a plane flying directly over my head again seconds later in the Southwest Airlines plane. These license plates that I wrote down, they're group stalkers. This is the City of Ontario that is engaging in the ongoing pattern of conduct. They've already been documented. They're doing the same while I'm walking on Bonview. License plate 1554790, truck number 1940. They create light activity and audible activity. The state is amplifying all the activity that they're creating as they literally are patrolling as one group. License plate 8 Edward Larry Xavier 355. This is a black male in a vehicle directly aligned to me as I'm on the sidewalk. He's in the street. Again, sitting in traffic is form. That is the means by which, while the state is controlling the lights, they're engaging in monitoring through traffic. And so traffic is at a halt. He's literally sitting in his car aligned to me. I'm on the sidewalk. He's sitting in his car. He is directly next to me while the Alaska Airlines plane flies over my head here at 716. And that's why I wrote down his license plate. That's just an example of what they're all doing. They are all in relevant position. I'm just writing down my immediate observations as P.O.C. is continuous. Again, and I captured a picture of the fake sun, again, having migrated south as I walk on Bonview. It's moving with me. Yesterday, again, at the same time, I captured the picture, the fake sun object moving east. That is literally backwards, staying directly over me as I'm walking. This fake sun goes where I go. The airplanes go where I go. This is P.O.C. They're creating all manner of light activity while I travel on foot. And I also want to get AMR. You have the state using a small jet airplane. It's a blue bottom with a white body flying that was west over Norman's Auto Care where I was standing, walking down this street looking for Mercy House. And that was about 15 minutes ago. Right now, what I want to focus on is what you hear in the background. These are just demons that are engaging in the same P.O.C. You'll notice that as I document, they engage in ongoing pattern of conduct of creating loud activity. They are hostile to documentation, and they are monitoring. Understand that. It is 2:08 p.m. right now, but what I want to note is the AMR, group stalker, that's the state acting directly. As I stop, okay, this is called stalking with activity. They are aware that I have stop motion, and so as I stop, the state appears out of nowhere, sounding sirens. It's just like the plane, okay? It's the same conduct. Making sure I remain surrounded by activity. So as I stop walking, the state, via AMR, engages in sounding its sirens, which is amplified in volume as well, while they're crossing path, creating light activity as all the group stalkers around are monitoring with the state using communication devices. That was license plate 73659 Frank 1. That was AMR driving what is north on Bonview at the same time as I stop to write down documentation. This is the same conduct as I turn on my phone to document. The airplanes hover over my head. As I engage in stopping to document Ontario police, you have third-party group stalkers appearing, coming close to create loud activity while they're monitoring. They're monitoring, but they are listening to every word that I utter as well. The timing that they are engaging in the conduct, this is probative of what they are doing, okay? It's not only criminal monitoring, it's demonic activity. They are hostile to being documented, and that's P.O.C. This group stalker, license plate 11033 Nancy 2. This is Motor Towns, California. 0284856. It says motors towing. That's what he is. So he is loitering just like every other third-party group stalker in their cars. He's just sitting at the sidewalk with his engine running. That's what third-party group stalkers do everywhere that I go. His truck is a means of loud, audible activity while he's sitting in his truck, and literally the fake sun is directly over this building. This is P.O.C. He's group stalking. That's blatant conduct. Just want to be clear on that. Again, that is MOTAS towing. M-O-T-A, MOTAS towing. California 0284856, and then that's license 11033 Nancy 2. And the fake sun is directly over me right now. Planes flying over and AMR using their sirens. That's the state directly. This is all manner of POC as I walk, looking for Mercy House, which I cannot find, which Ontario police monitoring me today. They're always monitoring, but trying to wake me up while I'm sleeping at the museum, using the train, using the planes and helicopters and sirens. And then finally, Ontario police on bikes show up, waking me up. Again, they're monitoring. So anyway, they were not overtly hostile. They're monitoring me, which is criminal conduct. But these officers were not blatantly harassing me in doing so, telling me to go to Mercy House, actually. And I understand this is all POC, so you're literally existing while you are documenting criminal conduct by a public entity operating with the people of the state of California. That's literally what I'm doing. And the POC is ceaseless. The group stalking is continuous, and I am just showing how the state is using the planes flying in all manner of directions. The state is using the state vehicles to engage in criminal misuse of those vehicles because they are criminally monitoring. Ontario police sitting at the light at Mission and Bonneview right now, monitoring in relevant position. This is POC. Understand, Ontario police are acting with the third party that I just documented, 1103 Nancy 2. He is creating light activity and audible activity. This is how you monitor with communication devices. And this third party group stalker under the fake sun that is loitering beside me, acting with Ontario police, who is sitting at the traffic light in front of me in alignment, also is acting with every other. You have USPS, they're in relevant position. They are monitoring. They are documented group stalkers as well, using the lights on their vehicles in the same way that the ambulance and fire and police do. They use their lights to monitor, and USPS engaging in the same stalking conduct as every other individual group stalker, just like UPS, just like Omnitrans, just like FedEx. All right, that's POC. It is 2:12 p.m. and I am at the intersection of Bonneview and California, and right in front of me is Mission. So this is POC, fake sun beaming down on me right over where I am at. I've walked down a couple feet. I'm at 724 Alger. This is POC. This is federal group stalking and monitoring in violation of Title 18, U.S. Code Section 42A as in Apple. License plate 46428 Xavier 1, crossing path, light activity. We've got license plate, a black Nissan, creating light activity, crossing path, under the fake sun, while the state is stalking and playing by police. 7 David Nancy Uncle 284, POC. His loud motor is a means of audible activity. Understand that. That's POC. All right, it is December 11th, 2020. It's Friday. It is currently 5:16 p.m. This is ongoing documentation of what is federal group stalking and monitoring, which is a criminal, an unprecedented level of criminal activity practiced by a public entity, which is also satanic. And this is where a public entity is engaged in targeting an American citizen and that which is in concert with the people of that state. So this is an expansive practice of criminal monitoring where they are using communication devices. There are 3 elements to monitoring with communication devices. The first element is light. Any manner of light. In light, it does not have to be as expansive as the state uses during the day, which is what I've identified as the fake sun. This is literally a light object that hovers at low elevation and literally migrates with me, remaining directly above me. The state engages in directing light from this light source in the sky above me and all manner of impossible light activity from this light source in the sky, while the state also maintains perpetual presence via aircraft. This is planes and helicopters, and also by police, fire, and ambulance. That light is pivotal. It is central to monitoring with communication devices, and that is the reason why a public entity engages in using such an extreme and highly demonic method for criminal monitoring. But that expansive use speaks to the system that is in operation with the people of the state of California. But that is not the only means. Third-party group stalkers. Those are those who engage in the same stalking with light activity, and you can create light in any way. As you've seen, while I've been kidnapped inside of the facility at West Valley Jail, you see them using the building lights. You see them using flashlights. You see them engaging in directing light in impossible manners inside of the facility where there are no windows, where that light is possibly being created on the surfaces inside of the jail. This is the state. This is the facility engaging in the direction of light inside of that facility because they are monitoring. That's why you engage in that criminal conduct. And relevant context is the fact that this first element, light, is demonic. Okay, this is stalking with light, and it is stalking because light is perpetually present. That is the criminal definition of stalking. And group stalking and monitoring is that which is a monitoring system, monitoring with communication devices, and light is always present. And what is central in my documentation, if you have paid attention, is the ongoing theme of light. It is always present by the state creating it directly, and also through the facilitation, the presence of third parties. The state is a group stalker. The state is operating a group stalking system, but third parties are group stalkers as well. So let me be precise with my terminology. With third parties who also engage in the same stalking conduct with light, using headlights, using flashlights, using building lights, using lights inside of residential homes, okay, on the outside of their homes, any manner of light, okay, any kind of light, no matter how minute, it is for purposes of monitoring, and it is always present. That is why it is stalking with light, okay? Group stalking is a monitoring system whereby a public entity is literally stalking with light. The definition of stalking, when you're talking about a system of group stalking and monitoring, is to remain, to follow with any manner of activity, with your presence, and with light. Those are the three elements, okay? And so the second element is activity. And activity exists in any of the following manners. It could be audible activity, anything that you can hear, and visible activity, meaning anything that you can see, right? And also sensational activity, that which you can feel, which you can sense, or you can perceive, like such as vibration, such as rumbling, shaking, things of that nature. That is activity, and activity is also central. This is how you monitor. This is why you keep up the noise level. This is why you keep up the physical presence and movement. This is when you are monitoring with communication devices. The third element is stalking by entity. All right. So stalking by entity is that where the state is engaged in directly maintaining presence in the path of the targeted individual, both directly through, again, as I've already documented, the state directly by airplane, helicopter, by police, fire, and ambulance, and vicariously present, perpetually present, and that is through third parties. And this is how you monitor, and the state relies on. So let me be clear, the state is not possibly capable of engaging in monitoring an American citizen without the stalking presence. That is the criminal cooperation of the people of the state that is engaged in this criminal satanic targeting system. All right. And with regard to what I am documenting today, I want to catch up on a couple things. What I documented with regard to P.O.C. when I was leaving Ontario Library, Ontario police crossing my path. That was license plate 1503460 crossing path while I'm at Ontario Library. At the same time, Ontario police in relevant position on B Street, B as in boy, the state that is monitoring, anticipating my going down a certain direction. Okay, when you're monitoring, they are very familiar with your practices, with your patterns of what you do. And so as a transient, being homeless, I'm going from the library more than likely to the grocery store, or to the location where the Ontario officer Taylor and Guerrero, who were monitoring me at the museum this morning suggested Mercy House as an alternative to sleeping at the museum. And this is all audible activity, mind you, while they are monitoring me. Arriving seconds after the state engaged in literally sounding a horn on the train, which is amplified audible activity. The planes hovering and the helicopter sounding over, even the helicopter visibly flying over the museum, over the center of the museum, directly over me while they are standing there talking. This is P.O.C. while the state's fakes an object directly over the museum. Okay, this is federal group stalking and monitoring in operation while they are also not verbally harassing, not physically harassing, but just engaging in criminal monitoring while suggesting Mercy House. Understand, monitoring does not stop. And also being nice while you're engaged in criminal activity does not change the nature of the crime, okay? But you have Ontario police engaging in providing that information. And so as I leave Ontario Library, and what I documented earlier today was P.O.C. with Ontario Police engaging in ongoing stalking and monitoring as I leave, and then I walk down B Street in order to get the Ontario Police vehicle providing light activity on B Street in alignment to me as I cross the street. Understand this is the same pattern. This is what Jason Knighton and L. Keys with the fire department were engaged in on D Street as I was walking from Starbucks, doing absolutely nothing outside of a house, engaging in outward form. These are demons. This is the state of California engaging in demonic activity. That's what it is, the criminal elements of monitoring, but you have demonic activity by those wearing the uniforms, okay, directly representing the state, while helicopters are flying over, airplanes hovering over the state, creating an extraordinary amount of light activity as I cross the street, leaving Starbucks in relevant position while I'm at Starbucks and while I walk from Starbucks back to, at that time, Vine and G Street, where I was walking to the vehicle where I was at Fern and G Street. That was P.O.C. Okay, on January 7th by Jason Knighton, Ontario Police Officer number 80509, and L. Keys. This is documented on my podcast. You can listen to that. It's already published. This is the same exact conduct. On a smaller scale, you have Ontario police officer creating light activity as I cross the street. Third-party group stalkers patrolling around me. This is criminal cooperation for monitoring while the state is flying over. Okay, the same exact elements are present. What I want to mention is the fact that there are additional license plates that I documented before I turned on my podcast. I just want to document those. License plate 5, K as in King, Y as in Young, Nancy 582, 8, Paul Thomas Edward 841, 8 Robert Young Victor 360, and I believe this is 61773 Edward 2, and what I spoke about was the third-party group stalker who was directly there engaging in that episode of P.O.C. with the police. The police drove off and this third party remained in their car, headlights on, in relevant position, remaining in the entirety of my podcast, actually. That was 8 as in 8. I'm sorry. Let's start again. 8, Apple, O as in open, W as in Wendy 031 in the Mercedes, sitting across the street. Again, the same pattern of conduct. That was P.O.C. earlier today. I want to now catch up to P.O.C. is continuous, and so this is just ongoing documentation of how I remain subject to federal group stalking and monitoring. It is federal group stalking and monitoring because the state is engaged in. This is a public entity. This is for means of prosecuting a state, a public entity engaged in group stalking and monitoring. It's a violation of federal law because they are engaged in using all means of interstate commerce, not only communication devices, but they are using the internet, they are using planes, helicopters, they are using channels of interstate commerce, the roadways, they're using cars, they're using the train. Okay, so this is P.O.C. They're using the internet, unless I already mentioned that. So this is in violation of 18 U.S.C, Title 18, U.S. Code Section 42A, and it is also with regard to legislation, S.I.I.S. legislation, which I advocate with regard to the ability to prosecute a public entity engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is designed to address every criminal tactic, which is also demonic. So understanding the criminal intent behind everything that a public entity is engaged in, it is a matter of public corruption. And so you are stripping down what is an abject fail at an external form, the appearance behind which all criminal elements remain present at all times, where they are monitoring you with communication devices, and understanding the nature of what you are dealing with. It is inherently satanic. And this also is relevant to the prosecution of a public entity and every individual third-party group stalker acting with that state, engaging in any of those criminal elements, engaging in any manner of facilitation, that is, providing any instruments like Alaska Airlines providing an airplane for the state to engage in harassment and group stalking by flying repeatedly over my head, using helicopters, using airplanes, Southwest Airlines, UPS, FedEx, the ongoing use of airplanes to engage in that. That is criminal facilitation. S.I.I.S. legislation is designed to address that. Every single act that the state is engaged in, directly and vicariously, is subject to prosecution. There is no outward form, which is what federal group stalking is premised upon. It is premised upon appearing on the outside as one thing when they are engaged in ceaseless criminal monitoring with communication devices. Okay, and so with regard to ongoing P.O.C, I did in fact walk to what is Mercy House. Mercy House, if you're familiar with that, in California, it is a shelter slash, food bin, I guess, providing food to homeless or, shelter services in general, or homeless services in general. This one in particular on Bonneview, and again, P.O.C. the entire route. And so I did already speak to that. AMR appearing out of the blue as I stop movement. Again, that is P.O.C. All right. Keeping activity up, keeping their presence and light activity up as third parties surround. Traffic built up on that street is not a coincidence. Everywhere I go, which is the pattern, activity surrounds. And if there is no activity, it immediately builds up. That is the pattern of conduct. And this is everywhere that I go. Okay. And so traffic being at a standstill, being built up on that street is a means of systematic monitoring. Okay. This is P.O.C. as I go to Mercy House. And so what I want to speak to is a couple of things. Let's see. Okay, first I want to speak to the commercial third party, Omnitrans, heavily documented as engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. They do so through transit. They are no different than every other third party in relevant position, creating audible and visible light activity while they are monitoring with the state. Again, not only when I am on foot, but while I am actually on the transit line. Okay, Omnitrans engaging in ongoing group stalking, which is highly demonic activity that they are thoroughly entrenched in. And the license plates of those buses, again, they merely represent the Omni as a commercial entity that's engaged in it, also engaged in kidnapping. Okay, October 14th, while I was subject to kidnapping by Ontario police, handed over to West Valley Jail, having no lawful right to keep me. I've already been through this case. This is case number M. Mary Wendy Victor 2000640. Omnitrans engaging in crossing a path while I am on the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department bus. They are monitoring with the West Valley deputies, with the inmates who are, while the state is directing impossible light activity on the inside of the bus. Okay, if you're familiar with those buses, there is metal mesh at the top of the buses. Okay, and light is not going to be pervasive inside of the bus. It's going to be dark inside of the bus. And through this metal mesh, the state is directly, horizontally, and downward at eye level onto the bus seat, onto my person, moving throughout all the bus. This is impossible light activity while they are engaged in ongoing monitoring. The deputies, the inmates, in addition to the systematic group stalking and monitoring by traffic surrounding. Omnitrans engaged in what is kidnapping. They are monitoring for the purpose of keeping me subject to their criminal conduct. And while I am kidnapped, okay? So this is what every deputy, what every police officer, what every officer of the court are likewise engaged in. Monitoring me while I am subject to kidnapping is direct engagement in that kidnapping criminal act. It is criminal obstruction to keep me in that kidnapped state and intentionally doing so. Omnitrans crossing path on October 14th when they were taking me to court to engage in what is a fictitious prosecution where Kara Hudson and Misha Moss and the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office in that courthouse, Rancho Cucamonga Courthouse, engaging in criminal activity, citing events of court that did not happen. It was purely a criminal act by Lisa Rogan to kidnap, stating that there was some doubt declaration, having no basis to do that whatsoever when I should have gotten a trial in that case. This is the ongoing fact pattern with regard to what is occurring. And so Omnitrans has a history of being documented. In addition to that, I have been on their buses while impossible light activity on their buses from the fake sun that stays directly over me, traveling in any direction on that bus. The bus drivers deviating from their time schedules, deviating from the route while they are aware that I am documenting. Okay, this is the same company, okay? This is Omnitrans, and I wrote down their license plates engaged in P.O.C. Arriving at their bus stops, engaging in what is their business, okay? Understand, P.O.C. coexists. There is no form. Criminal monitoring is a ceaseless system, and this is how the state monitors you. And so, like I said, claiming where you live, claiming where you work, claiming what you're doing, claiming what it is absolutely irrelevant. Your presence is how the state is able to monitor, and that is in addition to the facts that are totally in conflict and the fact that the state is directing impossible light activity while you are present, that is group monitoring, which you are facilitating. And this is a commercial third party that is no different from every other individual third party group stalker. License plate 1432922, in relevant position, loitering at a bus stop, creating light activity while ongoing group stalkers patrol in traffic while the state is hovering and flying directly over and all around me in airplane and helicopter. License plate 1404974. Again, the Omnitrans engaging in transferring drivers. So you have the license plate 1432922. This is an Omnitran car that is creating light activity using the hazard lights, okay, in alignment to me as I'm on B Street. This is bus route 86, I'm sorry, on Euclid. And Omnitrans, the bus arrives 1404974, providing ongoing light activity. The bus drivers, they swap. This is ongoing monitoring while they engage in outward. This is the, understand what demonic activity is. They are concentrated on what it looks like on the outside, okay? P.O.C. coexists, and it is ceaseless, all right? What they are doing is engaging in creating light activity while they are in relevant position. They are perpetuating, they are facilitating the state's criminal system, and it is demonic activity. That is the demonic feature, focusing on some external appearance while they are engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring with communication devices. That was bus number 1330. I also have bus number 1545811. License plate 1370397, I believe. These are just observations as I walk, as I travel. I remain subject to P.O.C. and I document what's in my immediate surroundings. Again, when you are monitoring with communication devices, you are in no way limited to what is immediately around my immediate environment. Understand, the police remain present. This is why they engage in stalking with their sirens, and they also do so while they listen to me document. All right, they engage in that same demonic act of mirroring my movements. At the same time I engage in any movement. The same thing with the planes. At the same time I make any movement, a plane arrives out of the blue, okay, and flies directly over me, out of the blue. That's the same stalking conduct by third-party group stalkers on foot, in any vehicle, in any building, okay? You're talking about the same exact identical behavioral pattern by a group of people, and it is demonic activity, okay? I want to go on to next. That's just a couple of notes. I also wrote down additional license plates as I'm traveling down Bonneview, as I'm going toward Mercy House. I wrote down license plates as I passed them by. This is license plate 75 Sam 832 264 86 Charlie 2. License plate 6 Xavier Larry Xavier 217. License plate 34988 Edward 2. License plate 5 Robert Brian Wendy 135. License plate, I think that is the 5 Paul Robert Uncle 3, I want to say 04, but that is a little ineligible. But this is just noting what I'm documenting as I continue to travel on foot, and I am subject to ongoing stalking. Again, what is prefacing everything that I'm documenting while I'm en route to Mercy House is the fact that the planes, they migrate with me, okay? And so they're not flying over Ontario Town Square where they were earlier while I was documenting P.O.C, okay? They migrate to Holt Boulevard as I walk east on Holt. They migrate south and fly directly over my head as I walk south down Bonneview, flying directly over me as I documented earlier. In addition to continuous stalking with the light, the state's fake sun object hovering directly over me, shining on me, and changing the intensity of that light. I've documented how the state engages in changing the color of this impossible light activity, it getting brighter and dimmer, which is light activity. Okay, using this fake sun object that remains directly over me, migrating in what is impossible, aka unnatural manners. All right, this is monitoring as I'm traveling down Bonneview. What I want to note is while inside of Mercy House, subject to ongoing monitoring, while they're refusing, for whatever reasons that they provide, they don't have anything available. Oh, you have to have an address from Ontario. You have to have ties to the city. Let me be clear. This is the same entity engaging in group stalking and monitoring that is refusing me housing service, shelter services. Okay. The ongoing audible activity, literally the state flying over the Mercy House building at the same time that I arrived there. Okay, the state does not in any way even attempt to try to act like they are not engaged in monitoring. They blatantly include every third party where I go. Say that the state at the same time while I'm crossing the street, walking to the Mercy House building, a state hovers over, flies directly over the building. Okay, so you have a third party in the Mercy House. Again, every place where I'm going, most of the time there are surveillance cameras, and this is all relevant to how you document and prosecute a public entity. Everywhere you're going, you're subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, and that is documentation belonging to the targeted individual used for their prosecution, used against them and against the state for engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. And what you are looking at is their engagement in the criminal elements. And again, in anticipation of my arrival, what is the outward appearance of repairing the door, the locksmith present, engaging in ongoing stalking activity at the door, hitting the door while he is appearing on the outside, okay, repairing the door, repairing the locks, creating beeping sounds as the door opens and closes, banging on the door as I'm digging in my property, as I walk outside to eat, sitting at a bench. He patrols with his vehicle, reversing and going in the same direction that I go while the state is engaged in continuously flying over. All right, this is ongoing P.O.C. I'm just describing to you in short what is occurring and how they engage in keeping you surrounded with audible activity, visible activity, while in concert with the state that remains present, stalking with its light and stalking with audible activity, flying the plane directly over the Mercy House building. Also using fireworks as I stand outside. Okay, fireworks in the middle of December. I've already documented this before. So this is P.O.C. at Mercy House. What I want to speak to is the fact that being subject and prosecuting a public entity for federal group stalking and monitoring. And by the way, it is 5:40. That is a helicopter flying in the background directly over the in alignment to me as I'm sitting, and I am also at the town square. I'm referencing the cameras. I'm sitting directly across from the Christmas tree where the big clock is. Helicopter flies in alignment to me. Third-party group stalkers surround a relevant position closely. The traffic is patrolling. This is ongoing P.O.C. Okay, just want to describe my surrounding circumstances as I'm documenting. With regard to, I want to go into a lengthy discussion with regard to the targeted individual and their circumstance, and the absence of any probable cause or reasonable suspicion under any circumstances where the government is monitoring. Okay, it is literally a criminal circumstance created by that public entity. The state, and what I want to be clear on is the fact of let's go to this morning. I want to document, again, those are Ontario police officers on bike who were monitoring me where I was at Ontario Library with Sean Thrasher, who stepped out where they were seeking to exclude me from use, which is seeking to obstruct documentation, because that's why I go in there, which the state is aware of. And that was Officer Taylor 80421 and Officer Guerrero 20070. And again, they verbally provided me those badge numbers. I was not able to see a badge number on them. This is what they provided to me. These same two officers are the ones who approached me at the museum this morning, stating that I needed to get up, which is fine. But again, it's P.O.C. And what I want to speak to is the economic status of being homeless, right? Having nothing to do with a first of all, let's address the state's engagement in seeking to defame, which is absolutely irrelevant under the legal analysis. That is P.O.C. It is an economic state that is inevitable when a public entity is engaged in criminally monitoring you and targeting you. And much of the targeting occurs while the targeted individual has no idea they are being targeted. So what did P.O.C. look like before I was aware that I was being monitored by the government and by every single person around, including those that lived in my own home? Okay, this is being targeted in the job field, in the legal field. Okay, so let's be clear. You do not go to college, you do not go to law school and pass the bar and practice law and achieve that skill set to become suddenly homeless and unable to, well, it's not a matter of being unable to, it's a matter of having a right to not be subject to criminal harassment and targeting on the job, which is what I was subject to systematically. And this is also a matter of documentation. And I did do my due diligence in reporting that to what are human resources, the offices who are assigned with the task of handling that administratively, and it was not. On more than one occasion, I have been dismissed from that. This is going back to my employment with that was in Orange County, where I'm practicing law, doing contract law, working with hire counsel, working with the different contract law firms in Los Angeles County. The same behavioral pattern of being subject to, a demonic level of harassment and targeting by the attorneys, okay? The same attorneys engaging in the courts, criminal abuse of the legal process, criminal obstruction to conceal federal group stalking and monitoring. I was working with these attorneys, okay? I practice law. You do not go to college, you do not go to law school, you do not practice law and gain that background, having excellent credit, having never had any issue with paying my rent. Okay, I did not move out of my apartment because I could not pay my rent. I moved out of my own volition because I have the right to not have my privacy be invaded. And while I became aware of that, immediately fleeing that situation, being subject to having the police summoned on me by the third-party group stalker in my apartment. That was my apartment. Tracy Banks engaged in that. And I understand, she went right to the pattern of conduct upon my becoming aware of my privacy being invaded, tampering with my communication devices, my laptops, my phones, and whatnot. She immediately begins this pattern of conduct of criminally summoning the police, right? And this is new, okay? I'm sorry, but where I'm from, we do not call the police on each other. This is new conduct that she started engaging in the moment I became aware that my privacy was being invaded. She immediately engaged in the script, pattern of conduct. Defamation with the police, calling the police for absolutely no reason, and then upon their arrival, engaging in defamation. Libel, using their body cams while they are engaging in defamation, referencing that which is absolutely irrelevant to the reason for which Tracy Banks summoned them. Playing music while I'm cleaning my oven because I'm preparing to move out, and Tracy Banks calling the police for absolutely no reason whatsoever. She is outside in relevant position. All elements are present while she summons the police, and the police entering into my apartment. At the time, this is Officer Arnold with Upland Police at the time, and this is while I was at my apartment in Upland off of Reading Way, okay? And this is where I am beginning to document the pattern of conduct, which I did not know at the time was a pattern of conduct. Understand, I'm just documenting because I am aware of very highly peculiar conduct by people who live in my home. I'm talking about people that I am related to, federal group stalkers, group third parties, Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, people who I am related to. You're talking about psychopaths targeting their own family members, okay, engaged in the pattern of conduct, documented as engaging with the state, the police, okay? And so upon becoming aware of the pattern of conduct, again, as the state becomes aware of your awareness, that intensification of targeting begins. Police are more prevalent, all right, which is new. I had not become aware of the police being everywhere that I'm at until the moment I started documenting them. Because they are monitoring you, they know what you become aware of. They know what you're documenting. And so in police, and as they increase their presence, I increase my documentation. It goes hand in hand. And so this is from 2018, since I have been documenting the stalking conduct of the police, not just in Ontario. It's San Bernardino County, Los Angeles County, Orange County. This is a pattern that the police are engaged in. Okay, so let's be clear. You do not have the background. I am not the ordinary homeless person. This is not a circumstance created by any of the decisions that I have made. I have a right to not be subject to systematic harassment, which is what I was subject to while practicing law. And then when I stopped practicing law because I was subject to that harassment, and the law firms that I worked with did not do anything to handle it. In fact, they dismissed me as a result of it. They were monitoring me, and they were engaged in criminal harassment. Remember, harassment is the mark of a demon. Okay, demons are the ones that are harassing you. This is the same conduct. This is just before I became aware of it. They were engaged in the same pattern of conduct before I knew what it was. I am just gathering information, documenting as I go from job to job. And eventually I decide that I'm not going to let anybody tamper on my license, and I withdraw from practicing law in Los Angeles. So I go back to property management, which is another trade, another thing that I have in my back pocket to gain money, to earn money. And the exact same behavioral pattern, harassment on the job by third-party group stalkers. They're monitoring me and engage in systematic harassment. And so I stop working, and that's property management, okay? J.W. Williams. And again, I reported that to them. Nothing done. All right, because they have no intention of doing anything. This is a state system that they're engaged in. And these are the marks, these are the hallmarks of a pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, harassment. Okay, this is the hallmark of that. And this is what I was faced with. And this is why I voluntarily withdraw from the workforce. You are faced with hard decisions that you should not have to make. All right, which a person of my background, fully educated and fully employable, should not have to. But this is criminal circumstances not created by me. So let's be clear about that. Okay, and secondly, facing the difficult decision of moving out of my apartment, fleeing from a highly dangerous circumstance that I became aware of, summoning the police who are engaged in ubiquitous presence everywhere I am at, seeking to relate me to some mental illness that does not exist whatsoever. This is P.O.C. Okay. And this is that which I became aware of, and I immediately flee from that. This is danger that I become aware of. And so this is another hard decision that you are forced to make. Okay. This is entirely the result of criminal activity by the public entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which the state seeks to attribute to a mental illness. Understand, that is the P.O.C. Let me be clear. These are hard decisions that the targeted individual is faced with. And so withdrawing from the workforce, because I have a right to not be subject to systematic harassment. All right. And you're talking about the pattern, identical behavior pattern. When I go from different areas of working, you're talking about working with attorneys to going to a totally different work industry, property management, and they're engaged in the same harassment pattern. Okay. This is a hallmark of P.O.C. This is a hallmark of federal group stalking and monitoring. I absolutely withdraw from working. I have a right to not be subject to that. At the time, not knowing that I am on the precipice of documenting what is an all-out expansive system operated by the state of California as I resort to living in my car. Okay. And then documentation continues from there. I moved from San Bernardino County to Los Angeles County, living in my car, working as private at a private defense firm. With the law offices of Michael Bialis, engaged in monitoring the entire time. Unaware of this, I'm just documenting the identical behavior pattern as I move from one county to a different county, aware of the patterns. Police stalking. Now you're seeing, I'm seeing it in San Bernardino County. I moved to Los Angeles County, and that same pattern exists. Unaware still of what exactly is occurring, I am just continuously documenting the conduct. And so this is the relevant background and history. This is a criminal circumstance created by the state that is monitoring, okay, in concert with the people of the state, including while you are at work, while you are in any private residence, while you are in any public place, while you are at any job. You are subject to this monitoring. And the hallmark of that is the harassment that I was subject to. Law offices of Michael Bialis, I started working there in August of 2018. And I promptly resigned upon becoming aware of the same stalking conduct by absolute strangers, people I do not know, in a totally brand new city, at courthouses I've never been to, places where I've never worked. I don't know anyone personally, and the same behavioral pattern is what I am observing in a different area. And so this presents a danger that I become immediately aware of. And as I document it, I promptly resign. And I remain living in my car in Los Angeles County. As I remain in my car, I call myself reporting this to the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, using my T-Mobile phone while I'm living in my car on Temple and Valley in Pomona. Okay, this is where the state begins stalking by airplanes. Okay, having nothing to do with an airport, mind you. Those are demons that are getting on my platform, engaging in the pattern of conduct. Each and every one of them subject to prosecution for that, engaging in criminal obstruction, vicariously speaking on behalf of the state. That is what they are speaking to when they are engaged in that. And not only that, it is totally abnormal and as you can see, it is blatant, a twisted conduct to engage in seeking to blame the target individual who is merely engaging in trying to defend their own human and constitutional rights while they are documenting what is highly peculiar and new to them. I have no idea what's happening. I'm just documenting it because I know that it is foul. I know that it is not legal, but I'm not quite sure what it is yet. I just continue to mount documentation. And as I publish my documentation, again, I'm aware of what's going on now. I'm publishing it, and you've got third-party group stalkers getting on my platforms, engaging in P.O.C. And that's how you prosecute them for engaging in P.O.C. On the internet. So while I am at Temple, living in my vehicle, the state engaging in targeting, placing repeated tickets on my car while they're engaged in monitoring, knowing exactly where I'm at, whether I'm in a residential area, criminally summoning the police, while they're engaging in street sweeping. This is a means of them being present, creating activity, while the state is stalking by airplanes flying directly over my car while I'm in that is Diamond Bar in Pomona. Okay, this is where the state initially began that stalking conduct. They're intensifying their stalking conduct the more I begin to document. Okay, so it goes hand in hand. The more I document, the more intense the stalking and criminal activity of the state accelerates. And escalates, okay? Because they are aware of exactly what you're documenting and what you are becoming aware of. Monitoring is occurring while you are unaware of it. As you become aware of it, they start honing in more intensely with that system, seeking to silence you, because the design is that you be silenced and placed into a mental ward. That's the system. And that's the purpose of intensifying. That's the purpose of stalking with airplanes. It is such a profoundly unbelievable story that you are to be presumed as suffering from a mental illness. It is entirely malicious at the outset. And this is what Tracy Banks was engaged in back in May 2018 when I opted to file my 30-day notice and voluntarily move out of my apartment upon becoming aware of the fact that my privacy was being invaded by those who lived in my own home. And that's Tracy Banks and her son. Unfortunately, I am blood related to Eric Spencer, a federal group stalker, acting with the state, abiding by the same criminal and demonic elements of monitoring and criminal obstruction, that is defamation. Okay, and so while I am in that is Pomona at the time. This is where the state began stalking by planes flying systematically, plane after plane flying over my car. If you're familiar with Valley and Temple, it's literally across from Cal Poly Pomona. There's it's like a dirt road where train tracks are no longer active. I'm parked on this back street where they do not engage in street sweeping anymore. They literally changed the signage in order for that was Pomona police to engage in placing tickets on my car. Okay, they literally changed the signage on that street in order for police to have a basis to engage in approaching me and engage in additional criminal monitoring, harassment while I'm living in my car in Pomona, California. I'm just giving you relevant background. This is all getting to the targeted individual's circumstance and that which is originating from the criminal conduct of the state, okay? Having nothing to do with my ability to work, having nothing to do with my ability to have and obtain a lifestyle. I went to college, I went to law school, I passed the bar, engaged in practicing law, fully intending on flourishing in my career in the prime of my career. You're talking about less than 5 years. I should be at a different place. You're talking about becoming aware of being subject to criminal monitoring, and that is being faced with very hard decisions decisions that no person of my background should have to face. But because you have a right, I have a right as an American citizen to not be subject to systematic harassment and targeting on the job. And it was systematic. I mean, an unbelievable level of abuse on the job. They call it corporate bullying, but it was at a demented and understanding that this is a satanic system. It was literally demons engaging in harassment on the job and a form of torment while you are working. And they know that you are relying on that income. Okay, this is absolutely criminal conduct while they are monitoring you, while you are subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, vicariously representing the state while you're monitoring at the job. And mind you, this is the same with any place of worship where you go. You have no friend. The targeted individual is subject to monitoring by any person calling themselves a friend, any person calling themselves a relative, any person calling themselves an employer, a co-worker, any person calling themselves a fellow Christian, or whatever your belief system is. Okay, this is monitoring. It is a state system, and it is unhindered, and it is ceaseless at every single venue. And this is before becoming aware of it. So gathering all the facts, subject to ceaseless harassment, which is the hallmark of monitoring at Sunrise Church, where I was a member since 2007. All right. Only left because I went to law school, came back, and eventually, after I passed the bar, I rejoined this we'll call it is not an actual church. It is a house of demons. They're engaged in worshiping Satan, but outwardly not demonstrating that. They are outwardly speaking the name of Jesus. They're outwardly engaging in as though they are worshiping Jesus Christ, and they are engaged in full demonic activity. And this is unaware. I am unaware of this. I do not worship Satan. I do not speak Satan as any god of mine whatsoever. I do not follow Satan whatsoever. And upon becoming aware of this darkness at Sunrise Church, upon becoming being placed in the position of finally approaching what are the spiritual leaders at that religious organization, about the ongoing harassment that I was subject to at that venue, because that's what it is a venue where they were engaged in criminal monitoring in concert with the state. And that is also documented as well. At the time, in leadership was Gregory Hooper and his wife, Ruth Hooper, acting in concert with Charles Kelly, Lisa Kelly. These are leaders in that religious organization in Rialto, California, monitoring me for years, harassing me systematically for years. Okay. Charles Kelly, just to be clear, engaged in P.O.C. with the state while I was subject to kidnapping. After Lisa Rogan engaged in criminal monitoring and kidnapping in the courts on February 18th, where I did not get a trial, I was subject to kidnapping on that day, placed into jail at West Valley, immediately transferred to Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center, where P.O.C. was ceaseless. Charles Kelly on the facility cameras, no friend of mine, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring on the cameras. Okay, in no way concerned about my overall well-being, in no way concerned with helping me. He is engaged in the criminal elements of monitoring. Understand that. And it is on the facility cameras at Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center. In addition to that, he is engaged in federal group stalking, monitoring him and his children when I was subject to targeting by that was Fontana Police, where the police officer focuses on me in the passenger seat while I am in Charles Kelly's vehicle, driven by his son, his daughter in the back seat. Again, being under the age of 18 is no defense whatsoever for engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. You shall be prosecuted as such, and once you reach the age of majority, you shall be added to the sex offender list, because being a group stalker is a extremely violent sexual offense, and that is how prosecution goes. They are using communication devices which minors are advanced at using, and that's all that she was doing, aiming her phone on me as police were in relevant position. And as I have already documented and analyzed that whole scenario, placed in what is a highly suspect place in order to appear on the outward as though he only saw me without a seatbelt on, while the driver was also without a seatbelt, but he focuses on me. All of the facts, this is a documented episode of P.O.C. after I was released from what was kidnapping by Jay Burnett and Sequoia. Okay, these are documented actors with Ontario Police, and this is the same day that I'm released from kidnapping in the vehicle belonging to Charles Kelly, who I was at the Sunrise Church, this religious organization, for years, where I was subject to monitoring without knowing it. And the hallmark of P.O.C. is harassment. I was subject to harassment at Sunrise Church for years. Okay, under the leadership of Gregory Hooper, Ruth Hooper, Jay Pankratz. Okay, this is an entirely demonic system where they were engaged in the criminal elements, which are also satanic, while I was in no way aware of it. Okay, and so I just want to be clear: monitoring is not limited to any venue and not in any place. Okay, and that's just relevant to the background with regard to every single place where criminal monitoring was ongoing before you're even aware of it. But the hallmarks are the harassment. So hallmark at the place of worship, of harassment, hallmarks at your place of work, where I was subject to monitoring and not knowing it, but harassment prevalent, okay, and not addressed, actually engaging and dismissing me where I have done no wrong, performing excellently in everything that I do, and that is not honking my own horn. I'm being obvious. I engage in doing my job while I'm subject to harassment, and then human resources, okay, not doing anything about it, engaged in on more than one occasion dismissing me. And this has continued when I moved to Orange County, living in my car, okay, after being faced with the difficult decision of fleeing what was an entirely dangerous position to be in, living with Tracy Banks, who was monitoring me in concert with the government, who was summoning the police on me to engage in criminal defamation because they know I have become aware of the fact that my privacy is being invaded, and that I begin to document this. I flee that. I flee that situation. All right, which any person in their right mind is going to do. So I go to Orange County as well, and this is also relevant context. Orange County, where I have resorted to shelter services, monitoring me the entire time, stalking by police the entire time, stalking by airplane and helicopter, literally over my car as I fly on the freeway. I'm sorry, as I drive on the freeway, as I am at the church, who are on the outside, on the external, providing me help, quote unquote help, and shelter and food while they're monitoring me. Okay, and this is in Orange County. This is documented conduct, flying systematically over my car. This is a history of stalking conduct. This everything that I am documenting to this date. In the ongoing elements of stalking directly by the state, and every single county where I have been. Okay. That is P.O.C. And so with regard to the current situation, remaining as a transient, homeless, this is, again, what I want to speak to, a criminal circumstance created by the state that is targeting you, having nothing to do with my ability to work, having nothing to do with my ability to provide for myself. Okay, and so while you have Officer Taylor and Guerrero arriving, monitoring me, speaking to the fact that I'm sleeping at the museum, which they are aware of, while the state is engaging in documenting criminal conduct, stalking by all manner of aircraft and police and ambulance and fire, and what I'm speaking to is the fact that there is in no way going to magically arrive reasonable suspicion or probable cause to arrest. They are monitoring you. Okay. And this originates from the original illegality of monitoring. I would not be homeless but for the criminal targeting conduct of the state of California. Right? I would not be without employment, gainful employment, without the criminal conduct of the state of California. This is speaking to damages. This is speaking to a level of damages that has ever yet to be addressed by legislation, where a public entity is engaged in monitoring you with communication devices in concert with the people of that state. The people of that state includes where you are worshiping, where you are working, okay, and where you are living. Every aspect of your life, professional, public, and personal, is invaded by the state. All right, let's be clear. So my documentation, everything that I am experiencing, is directly correlated to that. And you have no shelter. There is no protection from the state that is engaged in ceaseless criminal monitoring. Let's be clear. Any shelter that you're in, they're monitoring you. At Mercy House, again, this is documentation. The state is literally monitoring me, flying over the building. They're monitoring, patrolling in and out, stalking with all manner of activity, stalking with light, the fake sun object, directly over me. While it is patently absurd. It is ridiculous. Okay, but this is to address how there is no place of shelter. shelter. There is no place of protection. The third-party group stalkers represent a direct threat. Okay, they are the state that is stalking you. They are the state that is targeting you and monitoring you. They represent a direct threat, which Tracy Banks vividly illustrates. Okay, she just happens to be a third-party group stalker whose name I know. Every other stranger engaging in the same criminal behavioral pattern, the same criminal elements, represents the identical threat. Okay, so let's be clear of that. And there is no probable cause. There is no reasonable suspicion that generates from that. They are monitoring, period. And so what you have on the Ontario police officers engaging in monitoring conduct, approaching me at Ontario Museum where I'm sleeping, where they're monitoring, where they're engaging in P.O.C. and using the fact that I'm sleeping at the museum, which they are aware of. And so let's be clear, all the facts are relevant to my current state as it is right now. So this is with regard to not only the prosecution of the state of California, but you're talking about the unlikelihood, the impossibility of any protection from monitoring. There is no protection. All right. There is no stopping the state from engaging in this criminal conduct. They literally represent that criminal, credible threat to your safety, to your overall well-being. It is an ongoing emergency that exists based on the criminal system in operation by the state. And this happens to be that which is in operation by the state of California. And so Officer Guerrero, Officer Taylor, directing me to Mercy House, who has no intention of helping whatsoever. This is also something to be addressed with regard to legislation and the state that's engaged in this criminal system. This is analogous to the intentional withholding of zealous advocacy by a public defender who is engaged in the criminal abuse of the legal process. Mercy House and every other shelter service engaged in the same criminal monitoring system, aware of who I am and intentionally withholding those shelter services. Okay, so let's be clear, it is not a coincidence that I remain, but let's be clear, even if they were to provide temporary shelter, understand there is no shelter, there is no protection for the targeted individual. You are subject to monitoring while you're there. They represent the same threat. Okay, and so where I am at the Ontario Museum, where the state knows this, okay, where the state is engaged in ceaseless monitoring and group stalking in concert with every other threat representing a communication device vicariously acting with that state, let's be clear, that is P.O.C. All right. And I just wanted to go through that lengthy discussion because this is also something that needs to be addressed with regard to what the targeted individual is subject to. I am not the ordinary homeless person. I am actually the ideal candidate for showing what the targeted individual experiences upon being targeted on their job, upon being targeted where they live, and becoming homeless, becoming jobless, and then that being attributed to some sort of mental, or he or she suddenly lost their mind, they can't work anymore, they're not able to provide for themselves. This is the script. This is P.O.C. Okay? Understand that. And not only that, it originates from the original criminal conduct of the state that is monitoring you. All right, the state of California is going to be liable for this criminally and civilly and in a manner that has never been addressed by legislation. And let's be clear, that is not a coincidence because it is the government that is doing that. Group stalking is intentionally left to be a fallacy, singularly contended by one suffering from a mental illness. That's P.O.C. That is the intent. Okay, that group stalking is not real, that it is only a crazy person who is claiming that they're being followed by the government. This is the beauty of documentation. And not only is claiming the mental state of the target individual absolutely irrelevant, it is absolutely irrelevant in the legal analysis. It is understand that it is the pattern of conduct. Okay, it is criminal obstruction. And it is that which the judge engaged in, Lisa Rogan. All right. It is that which third-party group stalkers, which I am related to, representing a sharp threat to my physical safety and overall well-being. Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, those closest to me, monitoring me, summoning the police on more than one occasion, engaging in criminal defamation. All right. The same with those with whom I used to worship with at Sunrise Church, criminally monitoring me, engaged in ongoing harassment. All right. Engaging in criminal monitoring in concert with the police. All right. Present inside of the courthouse while the state was engaged in what was a malicious prosecution upon kidnapping by Jay Burnett and Sequoia on May 4th, 2019. Right. Where Tracy Banks summoned the police, lying, stating that I hit her when she in fact hit me, and I defended myself, right? And then not only that, the police showing up moments later after there is no physical altercation, and I am sitting inside of my car, which again, all of the windows are covered up. So Officer Jay Burnett engages in an unlawful search, opening up my car, which he knew I was inside of my car. That's why he opened it up. All right, so you're talking about P.O.C. This is monitoring occurring with everything that is ongoing. So Tracy Banks criminally summoning, the Ontario police engaging in an unlawful search, and then a kidnapping because they're monitoring. It's criminal obstruction while they are seeking to create some false case. Leonard Chang having no probable cause to ever bring any case for assault and battery against Tracy Banks, which was a false charge. This is a pattern by the state. This is exactly what the Ontario police engaged in, kidnapping me and then alleging a false charge. And then the state engaging in what is to be understood, this is a new concept, a fictitious prosecution. A fictitious that is a prosecution that isn't even real. It is for serving the purpose of them illegally confining me, a criminal detention upon kidnapping, upon criminal defamation, and a mental ward designed to criminally obstruct the prosecution of the state of California. All right, this malicious prosecution initiated by Leonard Chang, the criminal Priska So, engaging in P.O.C. This is all of that which is rooted to the same pattern of conduct. And so this is a lengthy discussion. I'm going to wrap it up now. But this is just to speak to the being transient, being homeless, having nothing to do with any of the decisions that I made. I made every right decision. You know, I'm going to be clear with that. I made every right decision. I went to college. I went to law school. I took the bar exam. I practiced law. I excelled in whatever it is that I did. I was subject to systematic harassment, that which I have a right to not be subject to. And then when I switch industries and go to property management, subject to the same harassment, okay, and a totally different work field, all right? And then I moved to a different area to seek to get away from that. And I am subject to that same pattern of conduct. All right, and I am beginning also continuously documenting what is the ubiquitous presence of police. All right, and then the state engages in, once I engage in documenting that and fleeing from that dangerous situation, you have the police engaging in more and more stalking conduct, more and more presence everywhere that I'm at, while outwardly appearing like they're focused on something else. They're in relevant position, creating light activity. All right, they're monitoring. All right, in the same way that you'll see on the West Valley Jail facility cameras, the deputies doing the exact same thing in a closed universe. It is an excellent vision of what the police do on a broad scale with group stalkers surrounding in relevant position. All right, that is P.O.C. And so it's 6:13 p.m. Ongoing group stalking again while I'm sitting out here documenting. It's ongoing P.O.C. But I just wanted to have that lengthy conversation with regard to the targeted individual and how the government, and that is the police, they have absolutely no authority whatsoever. They are engaged in criminal activity and then outwardly seeking to exercise some authority that they do not have. They're engaged in monitoring you, knowing exactly where you're at, knowing your exact situation, all right? And then using that as a means of kidnapping. That's what Ontario police did when they took me to the Ontario police station and left me there after searching and going through all of my property, having no legal right whatsoever to take me from there to the that was the Ontario Police Department off of Archibald. That was a kidnapping. Let's be clear of that. And ongoing monitoring again today by Ontario Police, Guerrero and Taylor. Okay, granted, they did not engage in the typical conduct of criminally seizing my person while they're monitoring me, or overtly harassing me while they're monitoring me, but the monitoring nonetheless, which is equally, if not more so, threatening. All right, because you do it with a smile on your face does not change what is occurring whatsoever. All right. And so let's be clear. There is no shelter. There is no protection from that ongoing threat, that ongoing emergency that the state creates because they are monitoring you and targeting you. So let's be clear on that. All right. There is no protection from any shelter. They're monitoring you there. All right. Every third party group stalker, this is a state system from which there is no exclusion and there is no exception. All right. It's 6:15 p.m. and I'm going to stop there. That is P.O.C. I am at Ontario Town Square where ongoing group stalking and monitoring. All right. I'll stop. I wanted to state the law again. This is relevant to existing federal law. Title 18, U.S. Code Section 42A. All right. And with regard to my ongoing advocacy of S.I.I.S legislation designed to address every criminal and demonic tactic of a public entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. And that is the P.O.C.